Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Marjon Live. This session is on the degree in physical education, and this will be run by Erica Eaton-Quinn. Erica is a senior lecturer here at Marjon. We're also joined today by Abigail and Hannah, who are two students at Marjon, two student ambassadors, so they're going to be talking about their experiences as well. My name's Siobhan. I'm going to be producing the session for you today, and I just wanted to go through a few housekeeping bits before I hand over to Erica. So for those of you who've not used Marjon Live before, just so you know that we can't actually see you and we can't hear you. That doesn't mean that we don't want you to interact with the session. We're still really keen for you to ask questions, and we hope to be able to answer all of those for you today. So if you want to ask us a question, there is a live event Q&A, which you can see on your screen, and the symbol to look for there is two speech bubbles, and one of them has a question mark on it. So you can pop your questions in there. You're welcome to write them anonymously or to put your name in, but please do be aware that those will be published. If you've got a question which is more personal, you can just put private at the start, and then we'll make sure that we address the question, but that we don't publish it or mention your name or any details there. So I'm going to also just hand over quickly to Abby and to Hannah just to introduce themselves and tell you a bit about what courses they're on and what year group they're in at Marjon. So I'll come over to you first, Abby.
Hi, so yeah, as Siobhan said, I'm Abby. I'm a third year student and I'm on the BAP programme.
That's great, thanks Abby. And then over to you, Hannah.
Hello, I'm the same. So I'm Hannah. I'm on the BA Physical Education and I'm in my third year.
Fab, thank you. So I'm now going to hand you over to Erica. Thank you, Erica.
Hello. My name's Erica Eaton-Quinn and I'm the programme leader for the BA Honours Physical Education. Just a very quick bit of background. This is actually the end of my 22nd year lecturing at Marjon. So I've been there quite a long time, and I'll let you into one other secret. I did my PGCE at Marjon back in 1987. And you'll notice that a lot of the staff that you're going to meet on the PE degree actually came from Marjon as well. So there's a bit of something about the place. People come here and they seem to stay around. Anyway, enough of that. Let's look at the BA Honours Physical Education degree programme in a little bit more detail. What I'm going to try and do is answer some of the typical questions that come up when we do this in a normal open day. So I'm going to try and preempt things. However, if you've got any other questions that I haven't covered, then please add those in, particularly at the end. And if I can't answer those, if it's more from a student perspective, Abby and Hannah have got 3 years of experience here from that side, and they'll be able to step in for me. Okay, so the BA Honours Physical Education sits within the School of Sport, Health and Wellbeing. And we've got a whole suite of different degree programmes within that school. Again, you're going to be mixing with those students in different ways across your 3 years, whether it's academically or whether it's as part of the sports teams that you'll end up playing or interacting in our fitness suite, etc. Just to throw this one in, something we're a little bit proud of here at Marjon. We are known, and we have been known for teaching quality since we first moved down to Plymouth in the late 60s. And we are actually ranked #1 in England for teaching quality. One last slide, just blowing our trumpet a little bit, is we're also top 10 in the UK for student experience. Now that may partly be because of where we're actually located. We've got wonderful moors on one side, we've got the sea on the other side, we've got beaches that are easy to get to, but we've also got a really lovely campus. And I think that helps alongside the academic experience to help build your experience at Marjon. Oh, last little extra one. Because we've been in the teaching game for quite a long time, after graduation, we've noticed that Marjon graduates seem to be earning a little bit more than graduates from other universities around your southwest or Wales. So this is me preempting. I'm guessing that if you've logged into this talk most of you are probably looking at a career in teaching, and it's probably with a focus on physical education, or PE, we call it for short. So, typical questions, frequently asked questions that come up when I normally do this on a regular open day is, first of all, what's the best route for me to get into teaching? So, we know that to teach, it's a professional accredited qualification. You will need to gain QTS. Okay, that's set by the government. That's across the whole of the UK. So to become a fully qualified teacher, you're going to need to get QTS. There's two ways of doing that. You can either take a BEd degree, and we'll look at the BA versus BEd in just a moment. So you can take a BEd degree, which we've also got here at Marjon, very well known for our BEd, particularly in PE. However, if you're going to go down the BEd route, you need to know a couple of things before you actually apply. Now, one thing you need to note is the subject that you want to focus on. So for all of you, I'm guessing that you're focusing on physical education. That's your passion. That's what you want to pass on. The other thing you need to know is the age range that you want to focus on. Now, that's actually quite a crucial point. And as we look at this a little bit further on, that could dictate whether you end up going for the BEd or the BA. So if you know that you want to do secondary physical education, then it may be that you apply for the BEd. You may apply for the BEd and the BA as well. And again, we'll look at some of these details or subtle differences as we go on. The BEd is a really full degree. You've got a lot of teaching because you're going to have to cram everything into 3 years. If you do the BA, you've still got to, cover a lot of content. However, we don't need to cram it into 3 years because you will do your PGCE or your Schools Direct in your year following your degree. So it gives you a little bit more time to engage with some of the other things that may be part of your university experience. However, whether you take the BEd or the BA, I'll end up meeting you anyway because I teach on both programs. It's still a government agenda that if you're going to apply for a BEd degree, you will need to be interviewed. And again, you will probably go through a series of different tests during the day that you come in for interview. Let's have a look at this in a slightly different way. So let's have a think about BEd and BA, BA being a possible alternative route that you might want to think about. So who would I suggest that the BA might be a good route for? Well, if you're not sure whether you want to work in primary or secondary sectors, the BA programme is probably a little bit better for you. The way the programme's written is in a developmental format. So you're going to be introduced to working with both of those contexts and all 4 key stages. And you'll get experience of that right the way through your degree. Now, I get a lot of students that come in who very definitely at the beginning say, I want to do secondary PE as my PGCE. Partway through their degree, they actually swap over and say, I really enjoy the primary. I really want to make a difference with that age range. I definitely want to go for primary. So if you go for the BA, you've got the flex in terms of not having to choose your age range at the beginning. So that gives you a little while to make an informed decision. Okay, something else that often comes up, students will often say, what about if I want to get some more experience in SEND, special educational needs? Now we can ask Hannah and Abby a little bit more about that further on because they've gone down the SEND route as well as going down primary links too. So they'll be able to talk to you about how that fits into the programme. So if you're interested in special educational needs, then you've got a lot of opportunity to build that into your BA program. And again, I'll try and pinpoint where exactly that occurs as we go through. It might be that you've applied for the BEd and for some reason you haven't got a place, you're not ready for it at this point, but you want to start your degree. It might be that you decide to come on to the BA and work at your own rate. So just in summary of that, the BA Honours might be a better route if you're not sure whether you want to work in primary, secondary, or even special educational needs. You want to get some experience of all three of those contexts, and you want to specialise later. You're concerned about the competition getting onto a BEd, but you're really committed to becoming a teacher, but reaching your goal at your own pace. And finally, now I'm guessing that most of you are pretty sure that you want to teach, and at the moment you're sure that you want to become a PE teacher, but this programme does give us scope to move into other careers should our career aspirations change over the next 3 years. And again, further on into the programme, I'll give you an idea of some of the different careers that my students have gone into had they not gone into teaching. I would say, though, that the majority of mine do move into teaching very successfully, getting onto a PGCE. Last year, every single one of my graduates that applied for a PGCE or Schools Direct programme, every single one got a place, and I'm so pleased with them. Some of them got more than one place offered, so they had the choice of where they wanted to go. This year, again, we'll check with Hannah and Abby a little bit later on, but this year I believe everybody who's applied has got a place as well, which is fantastic. It means we're doing something right on the programme. So, the BA Honours Physical Education's got a very distinct focus on teaching and learning in physical education. It is wide enough to cover primary, secondary and some SEND as well, but our focus is on teaching. One of the other programmes that we run that you will be linked with for your first year is the Sports Coaching and PE. Now, as you go through the Sports Coaching and PE degree programme, that one spreads itself between coaching and teaching. The physical education programme is really focused on teaching and formal education in a school setting. We've got options to carry out your placement. I'll come back to the placement later in SEND. We've got strong links with a whole load of schools down here in the SEND sector. And you can also take a module in your third year focused on SEND. Again, Abby and Hannah have both got really strong experiences there, so they're going to be able to share that specifically with you later on. Throughout the degree, you're going to be applying theory to practice, because it's the capacity to be able to not just know, but to be able to do that makes you a good teacher. Equally, the theory, understanding how we learn, is so important to good, high quality teaching. So you're going to have both those elements, and we'll generally look at the theory and then we'll apply it. And as I mentioned earlier, we've been really successful with getting our BA students into PGCE and Schools Direct places. That's some staying on at Marjon. We've got strong PGCE here in both primary and secondary. Equally, some students decide they want to get back to their family home, and they've got in successfully to institutions a little bit nearer to their homes. Okay, so there's a treat for you. This is my current third years that are just graduating now. This is an example of one of our lovely beaches. This is in Devon, I think, looking at the background there. A little bit cloudy. Of course, we know it's always sunny down here, but got a little bit of cloud on that day. Now, if you look at the back row and you follow along to the right-hand side, you've got Hannah and Abby in the first year, stood at the back there. Okay, and this is my lovely lot that graduated last year. And again, these are the ones that I was saying all got places. All those that wanted to get places got places. So again, very proud of them. Again, I think that's a different beach they're in there. So again, look at the background and you see a bit of blue sky. So very quick overview. Year one, you're going to be sharing a lot of your work with the sports coaching and PE students. So there's a lot of opportunity for interchange there. You can have lots of experiences. We get you working with children straight away in the normal program, and fingers crossed, we're going to be working as close to normal as we can in September, but we can come back to that later. Year two, you develop your knowledge and understanding. We're starting to expect you to become more reflective. You'll engage with your 100 hours long placements, and again, come back to that in a minute for you. And this is also where you're starting to say, I've got experience to primary and secondary. This is the direction I think I might want to go in. So by the time you get to your third year, you can really start to think about primary sector or secondary sector, and you can align your PGCE Schools Direct applications accordingly. Third year, we're going to expect you to stand on your own feet a bit more. You become a lot more independent with your work. You're still attending taught modules, and our doors are always open as staff. You can always access us, which is something that's a little bit special about being a small institution. And again, Hannah and Abby might tell you a little bit more about that at the end. So what's it look like? This is what your first year looks like. So we've got these funny codes here. Don't worry about the codes. You can get your head around the codes later. That's just for our database. We've got semesters, semester A and semester B. And you'll notice that some of the modules go across both semesters and some of them sit in one only. So again, don't worry about that for the moment, but if I just give you a flavour of the modules that you study. Okay, so becoming a physical education teacher or sports coach, this is going to look at what you need, what are the skills of a good professional teacher or sports coach. Where are you now? What is your skill set? What is your subject knowledge? And how are you going to get across your 3 years to those skill sets that you need to be a physical education teacher in a school? So we're looking at where you are now, what you need to get, how do we plug those gaps? Okay. We're also within that module going to give you all the skills that you need to successfully complete your assessments. So what does good essay writing look like? What about presenting skills? What does research look like? How do I go about researching? So that's going to look at subject knowledge, and it's also going to look at developing you academically as well. Okay, PSC CO1, fundamental movement skills. Now you're probably all aware already that the basis of all movement is fundamental movement skills. So if we don't get that secure in our pupils from a very young age, there's no way that they can engage in different sports later on to the end part of primary school and going on into secondary school and later life. So it's all about, what do fundamental movement skills look like? How do we teach them? We'll need to give you a little bit of biomechanical input there as well. We've got sports science, principles of growth and development. That's with me. That looks at the anatomy and physiology of children as they grow up. What's it safe to do in terms of training and competing in sport on a child's body that isn't fully formed yet? How can we train them? How can we work with them and get the best out of them without damaging them in the process? We've got sports coaching and the coaching process. Now with that, or in that module, you're going to look at teaching and learning. You're going to be looking at the pedagogy at a basic level, which is the science of teaching and learning. And you're going to be putting that into practice. So you will be teaching pupils in school on that module. Don't panic there, you will get a practice with peers first before we actually go in. And then we've got two other modules. One is looking at how PE fits into the bigger model across the whole of the UK. which is foundations in sports development. And we've also got a module looking at what we can learn in the UK from other countries. For example, Australia has got some amazing practice. What works well over there and what we bring over here, for example. So that's the first year. Second year, I keep mentioning this placement. Now your placement is 100 hours. You can choose, if you're happy already, you can choose to do 100 hours in primary, or 100 hours in secondary, or 100 hours in SEND. But what's also important is that if you're still not quite sure which you want to go for, you can split that placement. So you can say, I want to do 50 hours in primary and 50 hours in secondary, so I really get a feel for what I want to start applying for when I get to my third year. You might want to get more experience of SEND. So I've also got students that do 50 hours in primary, 50 hours in SEND, or 50 hours SEND, 50 hours of secondary. Or you might say, I want to focus on special educational needs, but I'm not sure whether I want to work with physical disability or differences, or whether I want to work with emotional, social adjustment issues. So again, we can split it that way. I've also had about 3 students this year that have done their work-based learning placement, sorry, put my teeth in ACE, which is alternative education. Now, those are students who've been suspended from school for disruptive behaviour. So we can also place you in those sort of settings as well. So whilst we're focusing on this programme on teaching and learning, it is much wider in terms of those experiences that you can get. Okay, so that's a big module in our second year. That's an important module. Students normally engage with that really well. A lot of them get paid employment after as well. Other modules that you can look at, physical education through the environment. That is basically our outdoor adventures activity. Now, at the beginning, I mentioned that we're lucky enough to have the moors on one side and we've got the sea, beaches, rivers all around us. So we make the most of that on that module. We've also got learner and learning theory. In that module, you're moving on from your first year and you're starting to look at different models of learning. What happens when we learn? What's going on in the brain? How can we use that knowledge as teachers to make our teaching more effective? We've got pedagogy and performance. Now that is giving you the skills to be able to go into school and deliver traditional sports based on your understanding of pedagogy or science of teaching. So you look at things like tennis, for example, hockey, netball, football, rugby. Okay? And we tend to change the focus on the different sports each year. And we've also got planning and assessment through physical activity. In this module, we look at the skills of planning whole sequences of learning, as well as just lesson plans. So how do we plan for progressive learning? How do we assess pupils? And we focus the whole of that module on health. So health is a big thing at the moment. We've got the obesity issues, we've got hyperkinetic disease problems. How can we deliver the health agenda through the physical domain? So how can we deliver healthy eating through physical activity in PE, for example? So that module again, you're out in school, you're out with me, we plan and we deliver it with pupils. The other module that I haven't spoken about is research methods. I'm not going to tell you loads about that, but that's basically your preparation for your dissertation that you write in your third year. Now, down at the bottom there, you've got something called an international semester-long placement opportunity. So, in the past, as in the past up to now, you've been able to take a semester in your second year at a partner university in America. So we're teamed up with a couple of universities. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think there's Florida, Pennsylvania, and I'm not sure off the top of my head if we're still teaming with California or not. You can go in semester A or semester B, and you can link that up to a Camp America placement in the summer either side as well. Do have a look at the Camp America options if there's any talks to give you an insight into that. Fantastic opportunities. Now, the only reason I'm sounding a little bit hesitant on that international semester-long placement is because we don't know globally quite what that's going to look like at the moment. However, your second year is either 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line, depending on when you join us. So I would say that's going to be up and running by then. That's speculation, but hopefully there will. Okay, final year. So you've got your dissertation. Your dissertation is worth 2 modules, and in that you focus on whatever you're interested in, and this really makes your application for your PGCE or Schools Direct really strong. If you're looking at going down a different career pathway, you can also focus your dissertation so it supports that as well. And I've had pupils, or sorry, students who've gone down that route and ended up in different forms of teaching. One went into education in a zoo, believe it or not, and they were able to focus their dissertation on that form of teaching. Okay, you've got 2 modules that you have to do. Pedagogy and practice. Now in that module, again, we're really honing in on the science of teaching. You're teaching in primary school and secondary school. So you're getting experience of that transition as well. PSEHO 3, diversity in PE. This is the module that you have to do. Now, you can't just get away with delivering your traditional sports if you're going to be a PE teacher, because we need to be able to offer a diverse PE curriculum. So in this module, we look at gymnastics and dance. I can feel you're cringing at the moment, but it's great fun. As long as you roll with me on that module, it is really good fun. We also look at street surfing and parkour, and those are both what we call non-traditional activities. We also look at things like yoga and Pilates. Yoga in line with things like mental health issues that are on the agenda at the moment, and Pilates in terms of something that's accessible for everybody, and it links to later life as well. Modules down at the bottom there, you get a choice. You can choose to do either thematic learning in education or a leadership management module. Thematic learning is how we deliver any subject whatsoever through the physical domain. So for my students, I expect them to be able to deliver maths, English, science, geography, global citizenship, climate change, whatever I can think of, they need to be able to teach it through the physical. And that's a really good way in for some learners. Leadership and management, again, it might be that that's your interest. Useful module, and that's your option there. Last bit on your third year. In semester B, you get another choice of 2. You can either choose a coaching children in sport module. In that module, it's hands-on, and you're going to be working directly with children, or you can do a disability and sport module. And again, there's a placement within that module. So giving you that overview of the 3 years, you can see that there's a lot of hands-on experience where we're actually working with pupils. And I think that's what makes our students so successful in terms of their applications for PGCE and Schools Direct. Anyway, let's go on. These are just some quotes from my third years last year that I had to just share with you because I was so proud of them. I won't read them all out. Fantastic support, brilliant balance of practical and theory, lots of different opportunities to excel. That one I put in because of the balance between the theory side and the practical that I mentioned earlier. I put that one in because I like the way that they've highlighted it's challenging as well. If you just sail through your degree without any challenge, you're not learning anything. So they found the degree challenging and also exciting. They did something new or learn something new every single day. Amazing opportunities to progress in both primary and secondary. So again, that highlights what we mentioned earlier. Lots of different opportunities to work with a range of different schools, lots of support from staff. The reason we can get that support in is because we are such a small university, and we generally do operate on a open door policy. But I'll let Hannah and Abby talk to you about that later. Best platform to begin and continue my trainee teacher experience. So they're moving on into PGCE and they're happy with the experiences they've had. That one just speaks for itself. Amazing opportunities, lots of memories. We do a lot of learning, but we also have a lot of laughs as well. We build up your confidence. I've seen some people really blossom. And again, when we talk to Hannah and Abby later, they may well share with you their confidence and how it's actually built up. I've seen it change in so many students across their 3-year degree programme. That one's just wonderful. Already talked about that. Even though we've had to go into remote teaching since the pandemic, based on government directions, we've still had an open door policy, so my students can contact me and we'll catch up on Teams at any point. Hopefully, everything will be back to campus in September, at least that's our plan. Lots of opportunities, lots of doors opening. A lot of students, while they're on the course, on the programme, find that they're able to gain work as a result, and that's paid work. There's also a lot of voluntary opportunities as well, and I'll let you read that one. Okay, so this is the last one I want to share with you. Hopefully you'll come in wanting to teach, even if you're not quite sure which age range, and you'll leave very definitely wanting to teach, and you'll become really good high quality teachers. When I go into schools visiting my students on placement, pretty well every PE department I go into are Marjon ex students, which is absolutely wonderful. We've also got loads of head of PE as well. So it's lovely for me when I go in there and catch up with them all. But sometimes, as a result of the way you change on your programme, you may decide that you don't want to teach, which is absolutely fine. Or you may decide that you want to teach, but you want to just take a year doing something different in the meantime. So if you still want to work in a school setting, get even more experience, you can take on the role of a teaching assistant or cover supervisor prior to PGCE Schools Direct. That'll help you build up a little bit of finance behind you. I've had some of my students who have actually become lecturers in further education, which is BTEC, GCSE, sometimes GCSE, BTEC, A-levels, other vocational courses. So you can go into that, really rewarding. I spent 6 years in FE before HE. Also, out of the staff at Marjon and also the staff that will be teaching you, I taught quite a few of them on their degrees. So you can actually end up as a university lecturer, believe it or not. You can work in a whole range of different educational settings like SEND, alternative education as well, ACE that I mentioned earlier. You could cross over into coaching because a lot of the principles of teaching also underpin good coaching. Lots of money being put into primary schools at the moment through the School Sport Premium. Therefore, there's lots of work for our graduates working with that funding stream, and I've got a lot of students that are working in that at the moment. We've also got camp recruitment. We've got students that have gone into that side. On the physical activity side, we've got sport leadership working up through into management. We've got students who are working with the NHS as activity coordinators, which is a wonderful opportunity. Health promotion in other sectors other than the NHS, working for corporate fitness companies. You can go into leisure and recreational health clubs, etc. And you can also go into fitness training, running your own programs your own businesses as well if you want to. Now, I've also had students that have gone into the services. I've had students that have very successfully got into the armed forces, and I've also had students who have gone into the police and the other emergency services. Other areas, you've got things like sports marketing and events. A lot of our students decide that they actually have got a real feel for learning, and some of them will stay on for a master's. And again, we've got all sorts of different master's opportunities. We've even had Commonwealth gold medalists in there. But again, obviously, you need to have the talent alongside to get there. I've just flagged up onto the left-hand side here. Do remember that some of those jobs that I've just flashed up also require other specific vocational qualifications. So if you're doing personal fitness training, by law, to get insurance, you would need your personal fitness training qualification. Likewise, if you're looking at going into paramedics, there's other requirements that you're going to need there. Okay, so that's enough for me. I've hopefully answered questions in terms of whether you want to go down a B.Ed route or a B.A. route, or even apply for both. That's a good option. And I'm going to shut up for a moment, and I'm going to hand over to you and also to my lovely ambassadors.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Erica. We have got one question on here that was sent through privately in regards to the BA. It's just about how many days a week are spent on campus. So is there extra time for independent study, or sort of how many hours a week would you be on campus?
That's a really good question, actually. So every semester, you've got the equivalent to 3 modules. Each module is 40 taught hours, but some of those hours are going to move around. So some of those modules will be what we call short and fat. They're squashed up, so you'll get more delivery on those in a shorter space of time. Other modules are stretched out, so those modules you will do less in 1 week, but it's spread over further weeks. So for that reason, it's very difficult to actually say a set amount. But I would say, God, on an average, you would probably end up having about 3 days, at least 3 days, pretty full days of campus. We try to keep you free on a Wednesday because of bucks, because obviously a lot of PE students are involved with playing for the university in bucks, which is the big competitions that run across the UK between the different universities. Those take place traditionally on a Wednesday, so all university students are normally free on a Wednesday afternoon for that. So we try to clear your Wednesday with that in mind. We also try to clear not only the afternoon, but the morning, because often you'll need to travel there. So that takes Wednesday out of our timetabling. In your second year, we also clear a day for you, normally a Friday, for you to go on placement. Again, so instead of just nipping in and out of your placement setting, you're actually able to immerse yourself for that full day. So I feel as though I haven't answered the question fully, because I haven't got an answer in terms of where the modules will sit on a specific week, if that makes sense. But I'd say it's around about a 3-day a week, but you will have to do a lot of other study around that. But face-to-face, probably about 3 days.
That's great, thank you, Erica. Hopefully that's answered your question for you. That's the only question we've got on here at the moment, so I will just please encourage people to pop your questions in the box there, and we'll get those answered for you. I wonder if it's a good time now to come over to our student ambassadors. First of all, kind of just on your course, really. So if you can kind of tell us a bit about maybe what your favourite modules were and what your experience has been so far. So I'm going to hand over to Hannah first.
Hiya. So for me personally, I think my favourite placement was my favourite module was placement. This is because it's so hands-on and you gain a lot of experience. Like Erica has said, you have placement within a secondary school and a primary school. I chose to just go into a primary school, and that helped me make my decision to teach in a primary school. I think throughout as well, all the modules have shown their challenges for me, but I've been able to develop and grow in confidence through teaching. One of my favourite things about Marjon courses is that you learn a lot of theory, you then put it into practice with your peers, which you can then take on to your placement. So you're not kind of just thrown into your placement, you have the experience beforehand and you can learn and develop through feedback.
That's great, thank you, Hannah. That's really good to hear from you. And I'm going to hand over now to Abby.
Well, there's loads and loads of aspects of the course that I think all of us really enjoyed. One of the highlights for me was the module Learning Through the Environment. That's in second year, and I think why that really stood out for me was just how much the course bonded during that module. You get to do loads and loads of practical activities out in the environment, like coast steering and mountain biking and indoor rock climbing, orienteering, loads of things like that, which I think just they're really sort of activities where there's a lot of team building involved, and we just really bonded as a course. And I think you make your friendships over the 3 years, but I think that really sort of stood out as a highlight. But personally, I really like the theory aspects, so I like learning about teaching and all the sort of theory behind it, so the different ways of planning and assessing, and sort of learning theory, sort of how to make learning the best it can be for all different pupils. But as it's been mentioned multiple times, there's so much sort of theory and practice entwined, which I think is a really positive aspect about the course.
Thanks, Abby. That's really great to hear. I'm going to come back to you, Hannah, just around kind of your interests and kind of what you're doing after your degree. So maybe what aspects of the course have really prepared you for what you're going to do next, and kind of what made you kind of make that choice. So I'll hand over to you, Hannah.
Yeah, so when I applied to come to university, I was set on becoming a secondary PE teacher. There was no way that anyone could convince me that I wanted to do anything else. However, through the learning of the aspects and stuff and the placements, I then decided that I wanted to do secondary. This was because my experience was in that. I really enjoyed helping pupils learn the fundamental skills. And that actually progressed me on to want to do a PGCE in primary education, which, like Erica has said, I am one of the students that have been accepted onto that course. So now my steps forward are to get my experience, do my PGCE primary education, and then look at specialising in SEN, so pupils with special educational needs. But if it wasn't for the placement that I have had on my course, I wouldn't have been able to open up these opportunities for myself and see the potential that I could have within teaching.
Oh, that's really great to hear, Hannah. Congratulations as well on getting into your PGCE. And then I'll now hand over the same question to Abby.
So I'm actually very similar to Hannah. When I was looking at university and what I wanted to do and the courses, I was quite confident that I wanted to teach secondary PE, but I wasn't 100% sure, which is essentially the reason why I chose the BA course, because I didn't want to close that door so early. And throughout the course, throughout the 3 years, and the different placements, both in primary and secondary, I found that I actually really enjoy the secondary and working with that sort of age range of pupils. So I will be sort of going down that route as well of primary. So it's really sort of, it opens your eyes to the different opportunities through all the placements that you have. And Hannah and I both actually took the disability module in third year because we wanted to gain that experience as well, so that we had not only the primary and the secondary, but also the experience in sort of special educational needs. But yeah, it's really, the placement has really sort of opened my eyes to the different possibilities and changed my mind completely since I started the course.
Oh wow, that's great to hear. Thanks, Abby. We have had a question now that's come up on the live event Q&A, and I think this is probably one for you, Erica. On the course description for the B.Ed, there was a reference to opportunities to gain an enhanced qualification. Can you please just expand on that and say what that involves? Oh, sorry, Erica, you're on mute there a second. Oh, sorry, Erica, we can't hear you there. If you're just happy to unmute yourself.
Ah, right, okay. Sorry, can I just clarify, was that the B.Ed, the enhanced opportunity?
It was, yeah, on the course description for the B.Ed.
Right, okay. I'll be really clear that I'm not the programme leader for the B.Ed, I'm the programme leader for the BA, but I do deliver on some of the modules for the B.Ed. So I'll answer as best I can from my perspective, if that's all right. As I understand it, the enhanced takes place at the end of the long placement in the third year on the B.Ed programme. If you've managed to meet all the criteria that you need to meet by the half term of the, I think it's the summer term, and you've met all your secondary PE criteria, you're able to look at something else alongside. So it might be a second subject, for example, maths or geography, or it might be teaching a different group. So it might be things like SEND. However, as I understand that can only occur once you've met all the criteria that you need to meet prior to moving off into your enhancement. So you've got to complete what you need for your secondary PE first, then once you've done that, you can add to that. So that's what I understand the enhancement to be.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Erica. If you have got, hopefully that's answered your question to the person who asked that. If there is anything else that you would like to do please do feel free to drop us an email. So at the end, I'll go through some email addresses that will hopefully be helpful for you, and other kind of sessions as well that we're running as part of Marjon Live. So hopefully that's answered your question anyway. And anyone else who's got any further questions, obviously, please drop those in the box there. I'm going to come back now to Hannah and Abby, talking kind of more broadly about your experiences of Marjon as a university. I just wondered whether you can tell me what it was that made you apply for Marjon in the first place. I'm going to hand over first to Hannah. Thank you.
So for me, I went to the studio school, which was based on the campus of Marjon. So I was fortunate enough to be able to kind of experience what it was like. And for me, the family feel, although it's a very small campus, but it gives you that family feel, which for me was essential when I was living away from home. You're very close with the people on your course. Like Abby said, like the modules that you do, you bond really well with your course. And for me, the idea of like the open door policy, the lecturers as well know you by name. Whereas if you was to go to maybe a bigger university, they might not be able to identify you as your own individual. But for me, Marjon has given me my own personality and allowed me to grow in confidence because of how close and supportive the university is.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Hannah. And I'm just going to hand over to Abby now.
Yeah, so I looked at various different universities and the different courses that aligned to what I thought I wanted to do in the future. And Marjon, as soon as I visited on the open days and then I went to some of the applicant days, the campus just stood out as being such a nice, friendly place to be. The campus is really nice, it's welcoming, it's small, which personally I really liked because similar to Hannah, I like the family feel of it. Also the links that the university has sort of with schools in the local area and other sports clubs and sports teams for various different courses. I thought that was really good, and a good way to help you get into different placements and work opportunities. And then Plymouth as a whole as well. I think I liked the city. There were good bus routes into the city centre from the university. So although you're in your little Marjon bubble up at the campus, which is really nice, you can also get into the city really easily. And as Hannah said, the small class sizes and opportunity to really get to know other people on your course and also the lecturers, I think, is something that's so important. If that's something that you enjoy, not everyone does. Some people like sort of bigger universities, but if you like a family feel, if you like to get to know the lecturers and for the support they can give you, then Marjon is definitely perfect for that.
Thank you, Abby. Again, that's really nice to hear. So we have got another sort of 5 minutes or so left. There's no more questions in the box again, so you've got some time to pop those in there if you'd like. I'd just like to go back to what Erica was saying earlier about BUCS and the kind of opportunities for sport at Marjon. So if you are thinking about the BA in physical education and you have a really keen interest in sports kind of personally as well, maybe you kind of already play for a team, or you're definitely interested in that as an opportunity to play for a university when you start. Maybe our student ambassadors can kind of tell us of their experiences of playing sport at university and what they've gained from that. So I'm going to hand back over to Hannah.
Yeah, so actually I think that's a very good point, actually, like the BUCS side of it as well, makes the university really social. So like Erica has said, on a Wednesday they try to get all lectures off for you, and that gives you a chance to go and support other teams on campus, or for other teams to come and support you while you're playing. I joined football straight away because I've always played football, and through the years I've then progressed, so I became vice captain in second year and then was captain in third year, which I really liked because it was very student led, so the players can take control of the team. Between Christmas time they put on a little event where you could try different sports, so they put on a futsal event, which I took part in, and then actually I found out that I really enjoyed it. Although it's similar to football, it had different aspects, different rules, and it was nice to learn something new. If I didn't go to that taster session, I wouldn't have had the experience and the opportunity to try that. And then I actually became vice captain for futsal in my third year, and helped the team progress to get promotion, which is really nice as well, because you finish a game on a Wednesday and then you can chill out with the teammates afterwards. You can go for food, kind of thing. You can just chill, relax, and it's a really nice social aspect of it.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Hannah. And now over to you, Abby.
Yeah, so as Hannah has said, the sport at Marjon is really good. It builds on the community feel. There are various sports teams, pretty much anything you can think of, there's a sports team for it. And if there isn't, if you can find other people that want to do that as well, then you can set up your own teams. The same with other societies, that doesn't necessarily have to be sport. But there's the BUCS that play on the Wednesday, and even if you don't play in that, it's really good to go and watch and sort of be with your friends and support the Marjon teams. Also, there are teams that play in local leagues. So I've played netball and been in the netball club for the 3 years, and I was the captain of the third team in my third year. So that was really good to sort of build on the confidence that you've sort of developed throughout your course, that you can take on different roles in different sports teams. But they play on a Thursday night in the local league. There are football teams that play in the local league. So there are so many opportunities to take part in different sport, and whether you want to play or you don't want to play, it's really good to get involved.
That's great. Thanks, Abby. And I think that's a really good point, actually, when you say, you know, if you want to play or if you want to support, because I know that actually a lot of the sports teams at Marjon are really well supported by other students and by staff as well. So, you know, even if you're not keen to play yourself, or maybe there's a new sport that you're kind of a bit nervous about trying, people are kind of welcomed into the clubs at beginner level, aren't they, straight through to kind of, you know, being on the first team as well. So there's definitely a lot to kind of welcome people that maybe want to support as well as play. So we've not got any more questions in the Q&A box there. We are coming to the end of the session. So Erica, if I can hand back over to you, is there any kind of anything else that you'd like to say ahead of us closing the session in a couple of minutes' time?
Oh, well, there's one. In terms of the programme, I think I've probably, or I hope I've probably answered various frequently asked questions as I've gone along. What I will say is, again, echoing what Hannah and Abby have said, is that if you're looking for big university, big campus, then Plymouth Marjon University isn't necessarily going to be for you. But if you want a real family feel where you get to know not only the students on your degree programme, but also on a whole range of other degree programmes, and you get to know your staff really well. In fact, so well that if you're not in a lecture, we'll pick you up and ask you why when we see you in the dining room. So if you're looking for that small university feel, then Marjon probably is for you. And I'd love to be able to welcome you all back in September.
That's great. Thank you, Erica. So I'd like to say thank you to Erica for the session today. I think it's been really engaging. Hopefully it's answered any of the questions that you have, and also to our student ambassadors, Hannah and Abby. So it's been really good to hear from you both about your experiences of life on campus and of the course. Now I'd just like to share with you some information about some additional sessions that we've got running as part of Marjon Live. So I'm just going to share that with you now, and hopefully you can see that on your screen. Just a moment. So as you can see, we have got quite a few other course talks as part of Marjon Live here. We are running a guided campus tour, life on campus talks, things like money matters and information about kind of finance and student finance, sport at Marjon, which might be of interest to you. So there's lots of opportunities there to join us and find out some additional information. And you can pre-book all of those on the website where you've kind of pre-booked for today. So I'd really like to thank you all for attending. I hope we've been able to answer all your questions. If you've got any further questions at all, please do email visitus@marjon.ac.uk and we would be more than happy to answer those questions for you. We'll definitely get them to the right person if we can't answer them ourselves, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to welcome you to further Marjon Live talks over the summer. Thank you.